Morning Year 5, I hope you're well on this Thursday morning. So again we're going to start off with our reading and we're going to look at a new skill for today and for Friday. So the skill we're going to focus on today is vocabulary skills, and we're going to look at this text first, the Midnight Miller, and we're going to have a go at a couple of questions just to get our thinking caps on with that vocabulary skill. So the Midnight Miller. There was once a weary old miller who lived in Anglesey. Each morning upon arriving at the mill, he noticed that some of his sacks had been disturbed during the night, and eventually began to conclude that someone had been working in the mill during his absence. He confided his suspicions to a friend, and they determined to go to the next night and guard the mill. The following night, as the ghostly moon ruled the sky, they approached the mill, which stood atop a bare stony hill. Much to their surprise, the mill was illuminated and at work, the great sails turning in the black night. Creeping up softly to a small window, the miller peered inside and saw a swarm of tiny figures carrying small bags and emptying them into the millstones. As his eyes adjusted to the light, the miller was astounded, for instead of flour, the bags were filled to the brim with golden coins. So, question for this one is, find and copy two words which the author uses to describe the mill on which the mill sits. So, using our scanning techniques, you can see there's the mill. It's in the middle of the text there, and just before it, the author uses two words, bare and stony, to describe the hill. Okay, so quite easy one. Nothing too tricky in that one. Let's have a look at this question then. So the question for this one is on the same text. During his absence, what could the author have written instead of this phrase? So that phrase we can see is there, and we just need to think about what that actually means. So what he was finding is that it was happening at night, so he wasn't there, so which is pretty much the phrase that he could have used. Had been working in his mill when he wasn't there. So that would be my answer to that question. On to maths then, and we're continuing our decimals for today. And in maths we're going to be adding decimals crossing the whole. So before we were working within the one whole, this time we're going to go beyond one whole this time. And remember, it's going to be really important to keep our decimals in line. Okay. So we're going to be focusing on the column method today. We're going to do two examples. So if you pause the video now, and you can have a go at these. Okay, so challenge for today is you can clearly see that in the tenths column we've got a 7 and a 4, so it's going to cross that one boundary that we set up at the beginning when we talked about the lesson as it started. So you're going to need to be able to carry today. So if you can see what I did on here, I started in the thousandths column and I added 0 and 2 together, which is 2. I added 5 and 5, which is actually 10. So I put my 0 in, carried it over into the tenths column, and I added 7 and 4 then together, and I've got 11. But my carry plus my carried 1 makes 12. So I put my 2 in the tenths column and carried it over into the units or the ones column, and then 0 plus 0 is 0, but plus my carried 1 from the tenths column is 1. So my answer is 1.202. Different example again, but you can see that you've got in that tenths column again, you've got the 6 and the 5. So again, it's going to go across that one boundary. So if you pause the video and have a go at that, I'll solve it on the next slide. Okay, you can see what I did on this one then. So we got started again in the thousands column on the right. 1 add 8 is 9. 5 add 6 is 11. So I put my 1 in there and carried it over into the tenths column. And then we did 6 add 5 again, plus my 1. That makes 12. So I put my 2 in there and carried my 1 over. And then 0 plus 0 plus the 1 is 1.219. Okay, so nice and easy, just some carrying to do. Don't forget, when you make sure your decimals are lined up properly, and it should be quite easy. Okay, remember to keep going with your times table rock stars. Try and spend a small amount of time each day having a go at those. On to our writing then, and we're going to begin to start writing today. So the idea of today and Friday's lesson is to write your first person narratives based on the Titanium music video. So it's probably a really good idea to have another look at that video, play it again, get your head around it so you know it inside out, and have a look again in the pack for the examples that I gave you. There's a couple of examples in there that should give you a few more ideas for what you could write in your texts today.